Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. So lovely to have you here. I'm going to do things a little bit differently today. So I'm going to be channeling the Council of 12 and offering light language at the end of this video, as I do with my Monday videos. And today I'm just curious, so I'm going to ask a question of the Council of 12 and then let them channel the answer. And this comes from an experience of hearing from friends about very troubling times that people are going through. So with one friend, it was a very serious health issue with a loved one in her life and other things happening in her life. And then another friend also sharing about someone expressing to her a recent loss that they had. And so it seems that there's a lot of deep, troubling experiences happening for people. And I thought I would connect with the Council of 12 and ask them to come through and share with us the answers to why this is happening, what's going on, why this is coming to the surface right now. And I know I did hear other people say that in this year of 2020, there may be a lot of people deciding to leave the planet and to pass over and live life from a different perspective. And so I'm just curious about this and thought it would be an interesting approach to do something a little bit different. So my question, I'm going to bring in the Council of 12. And my question to them is, if they could give insight into the challenges that people are experiencing in these times. So we'll see what they have to say. And so it is, beloveds. It is our joy and delight to come before you. And we say to you, dear ones, that indeed you are in a time of upheaval and turmoil and unsettling of the old way. Many souls who are simply done with what it is to walk this earthly expression at this time are moving on to offer their light from a different perspective, to offer their care to the earth. Many of these souls never intended to stay in the first place, and many others have simply found that they have received what they can at this time in their earthly incarnation. Pardon me. And therefore, it is time for them to move on, to gain a new perspective, to be able to redirect their focus. Many who are passing are souls who have not been able to move through the density of the 3D world, who have not been able to lift their focus above all the despair and hardship in their own lives and the lives of others, and therefore the soul growth has completed at this incarnation, and so they are leaving. Others are leaving, of course, so that they can be of support from a different perspective. They will continue to work with the earth and with the humans that were a part of their experience from the perspective of being able to offer a greater oversight of what is happening. And so there are different reasons that souls are leaving, but know that you can trust that as souls pass, it is a part of the agreed upon experience from the human aspect and the higher self that the passing would be the most beneficial at this time for that soul. For other people who are experiencing hardships, again, of course, there are many reasons why this is happening. For some, it is to knock them to their knees, to allow them to be vulnerable enough to fall apart a bit so that they can relinquish control and allow the experiences of life to lead them in a new direction and take them to a greater depth so that they can experience the soul growth that they've come for. For many souls, it takes a hard knock in order for them to allow a redirection to happen. And so when people are having great difficulty, often this is the reason that their soul has had to take it to that level before they would stop and pay attention. And for most souls upon this earth, the reason for coming is for soul expansion and growth, and so the higher self will do all that it can to ensure that that happens before the soul makes the choice to leave the earthly plane. So they are taking advantage of this opportunity to be here and the time that it took to move through childhood into adulthood, where you can really then begin your soul growth in a different way than certainly happens in childhood. And so for many souls where you see struggling and hardship, it is gaining all that they can from this earthly experience. That does not mean that you should not have compassion for these souls, but we would say there's a difference between compassion and sympathy. Do not sympathize with them. Do not see them as victims, for they are not. Better to empower them. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, I think that sneeze may have been a releasing of some sort. So to get back to the Council of 12, yes, that the soul came to be empowered, and so instead of seeing them as a victim, to see the power within them to move through this experience, for they would not be having the experience if they didn't have the power within them to move through it. So you can better serve in your compassion by also seeing that they have everything within them to move through this, and see them in their empowered state. So then you can be present with them, you can hold space for what they're going through without that feeling of, oh, poor you, but just simply being present, listening, holding space, which means just to really give them your attention and to not project your thoughts onto their experience, but to just hear what they have to say. This is holding space. And then to just feel within the depth of your heart that you know they're going to make it. You may not want to express those words out loud, for when someone is in the depth of despair, hearing that they're going to make it feels like they've just been dismissed and their experience has been dismissed. But you can think this within your own presence so that you are inviting their soul and planting a seed for their consciousness to step into this inner knowing that, of course, they're having this experience because they do have the ability to move through it. And allow them to be where they are in their process by being present with them without engaging energetically, but without creating cords between them of sympathy, but holding space in your own power from a state of having some distance, being more of a witness then to their experience while also being present. Your empowerment by being witness in that state of not getting caught up in their pain and their hardship, but being fully present with an open, loving heart, that in itself will bring an opportunity for people to grow into that strength that they will see within you. They will feel your presence with them in that way, and that in itself will give them strength. So, as we said, there are many reasons why you are seeing these experiences that people are enduring, and even for your own self, when you're in your own hardship, do what you can to create that distance, that to be that witness. One way to do this is to simply sit in meditation, get yourself quiet, and allow yourself to rise up out of your body, up through the ceiling, up through the roof, up into the sky, taller and taller. So imagine an aspect of yourself that is just growing and growing and growing above you, looking down on the human form and looking at your problem or your perceived difficulty or challenge from that perspective. And we trust that you will see it very differently from that perspective. And if you would like, you could get a greater overview of what this experience is wanting to deliver, of what is wanting to be learned from the experience that is happening that feels challenging. We invite you to do this often with your own experiences. It allows you, as we said, to become a witness to your experience, which then gives you a greater perspective and also allows you to see the strength, and you can ask again, to see the strength of how you are able to manage this challenge, this difficulty, and to see the outcome of how you did manage this difficulty. This is a very good practice for a variety of situations that you will experience in your life. Also a very good practice when you want to offer healing to the earth and offer a higher light to the events that are happening around the world. Allow yourself to rise up and look down upon those events from a higher perspective. It is connecting with your higher self when you look from this way that has all wisdom, all knowing. And as you lift yourself out of the essence of your human self, then you instantly, if you will allow yourself, instantly step into the greater awareness of the higher perspective. So, beloveds, we invite you to approach these life events in this way. Okay. Our thanks to the Council of 12 for that. And so I'm just going to pause for a moment and just come up with another question because we still have some time here without the video being too long. So I'll consider what else wants to be asked. Okay, I have it. So my next question to the Council of 12 is, as we move through the difficulties and challenges and the inner work, and we are ready to then move forward into the world and to live in the expression of these new higher frequencies that are now available to us on the earth, and to move into our greatest potential, can you give us guidance on how we do that, how we recognize our life purpose, our greatest potential, and how we move into bringing that into our life's expression? Indeed, beloveds, it is our joy and delight to answer this question. And we say to you that, of course, there are many different avenues, many different pathways to doing this, for each of you is unique in your own creation. However, the very beginning process of moving back into your empowered self, back into your awareness of the fullness of who you are as a human on this earthly plane, living in these times of expansion, of greater awareness, of the increased frequencies. For indeed you know that the frequency of the earth is rising very rapidly, and therefore you as well are receiving these frequencies. And so it allows you to live a new expression. And so we would say that the first step in this walking the new pathway is to step off of the old path. Pardon me. You cannot become a new person when every day what you do most is remember the person you have always been and continue to connect with that person and pull in the memories and repeat the memories of the past. It is vitally important, if you are to find yourself into your more empowered state of being, to let go of the past in every way. In each moment, you are a new person. Each day when you awaken, you truly have cleared away the past, and you only bring it with you when you wake up and intentionally think about what you have to do today related to yesterday. But if you could intentionally wake up and say, who am I today? What wants to flow through me today as a new creation? How can today be different? Then you will search for the newness of you instead of going back to retrieve the oldness of you. And so this is the first step, we would say, in this path to empowerment of coming back to the highest aspect of who you are, is to spend time in your day recognizing how you are different, and acknowledging and celebrating your own personal growth. So, for example, to look back on who you were 3 years ago and see the difference in that, and have a party. Write down everywhere where you were different. Write down all the changes that you see in yourself through your personal growth. Acknowledge your growth, so that by acknowledging your growth, you are anchoring in then the continuation of that experience, which is growth. So look for the newness of who you are and step off the path of the past. Even when feelings and emotions come up that are old, they're anchored in the past. Very few people are responding to life purely from the moment. Every pattern and behavior and belief that you hold is creating your response to life circumstances in the moment. It takes a lot of work to cleanse and purify the past to the point where you are truly responding only from the moment. And so this should be your goal, so that when you have released so much of the debris of the past by consciously looking at what it is and being honest with yourself about what it is and finding ways to move through it, then you can bring a new expression of you into the world. In truth, it is the pure expression of you that has always been there, no longer covered up by the debris of the past. Your brilliance is within you. It's not like you have to go looking for it, we would say, or creating it or discovering it. It is within you, but it is deeply buried by the debris of the past and the pain and the hardship and the beliefs and the core responses within you emotionally from the experiences that you have had, not only from this incarnation, but from previous incarnations as well. That is why there is so much strife and turmoil in the world at this time, is because the mass consciousness of humanity is clearing for eons of time. You are clearing this lifetime, past lifetimes. You are clearing the mass consciousness. You are clearing the patriarchy. You are clearing the wounding of the feminine. There is so much that is happening at this time, all necessary for you to move into living lives of pure love and peace and grace and joy and harmony. All that is stood in the way of that has stood in the way of that and that has covered up your light, now must be purged and released and cleansed and purified, so that as you lift that off of the light that you are, then your pure light shines through. So this is another preliminary task of stepping into your fullness and your greatest potential. Once you have done that, and we would say it doesn't have to be done to completion, things will continue to come up for you, but when you get to the point where they pass through very quickly, you see them right away, you're aware of your responses, you're able to go in and find it and clear it and move through it, then you come back to self-love. And the more you come back to self-love, the more you are ready to walk in your brilliance, the more you are ready to recognize the truth of who you are, the more you are ready to let your own light shine in the world undiminished. In the old paradigm, people diminished their light for the sake of others, or because when they shone brightly, they were told, who do you think you are, Miss Goody Two-Shoes? They were dismissed. Their light was diminished because those who stood in their presence without their own light activated could not stand the brilliance, because the comparison then made them feel bad about themselves. And so when you love yourself enough that you can shine your light regardless of how it is perceived on the outside, knowing that others are just having their own responses because of their own limitations that they've not yet worked through, then you begin to simply walk in your brilliance. It simply flows through you because you're ready to be the truth of who you are. You're ready to be the fullness of who you are. You're ready to acknowledge and understand that you have a peace to share with the world, simply with your presence, simply with your magnificence. It may be nothing related to what you do in your manner of employment or your position or status in the world. You could be a gardener who goes from home to home making flowers feel good and be the most radiant light and doing the most beautiful work, because you are in your fullness, and therefore that expression of you, that energy of you, emanates from you wherever you go and gifts the earth and gifts all humans who come into your experience. So once you've cleared the debris, this begins to happen very naturally. And be aware of anywhere where you are not loving yourselves. And we would say to you, dear ones, many people are very good at judging and criticizing themselves. Other people tend to project and judge others. Either way, it is a judgment of the self. Every judgment you have of another is truly a judgment of yourself. We tell you this so you have a way of knowing where you are still not fully loving yourself, where you are holding judgment, and look for the core wound of where that judgment came from. And do what you can to uncover it. This channel, with her freedom release technique, is very powerful at uncovering these core beliefs that create these limiting thoughts, that create these judgments. So do what you can to find a way to retrieve those patterns and beliefs that are holding you back, so that you can walk in your brilliance, step in your light, and then life simply begins to unfold for you. You take action from a place of inspiration, knowing that your soul is urging you forward in this direction. And when you take action in that way, you come to know that things flow, and when the flow seems to stop, then you reset your course, you realize that you're being pointed in another direction, and so you simply flow around the rocks, like moving through the rapids in a kayak. When you're in the flow, you very easily move around the obstacles and just know that they are a redirection and it's not the right path. Of course, if you insisted on going into the rocks, then you certainly wouldn't be continuing your journey for long. So of course you redirect and you go around. And it is the same with the inspired action. You're in that flow and you simply see where you're being led in your life's journey and your life path. Okay, so I'll say thank you here to the Council of 12 for that great insight that they have offered, and I'll do that now. Indeed, beloveds, it has been our great joy and delight to come before you. And we are aware that this one was very happy with this way of bringing through our messages, for she likes to have a focus, an intent, a direction. And so she is delighted, and we are delighted that we have had this opportunity to speak to you, to share our light with you, to share our frequency, our energy with you. For as you listen, tune in to this frequency, feel it within the cellular structure of your being, so that you may be touched by our light, touched by our love. And we will leave you with that now, as this one brings through the light language that also is a frequency of love that elevates humanity and emanates the frequency of the dimensions of grace that are watching over you, ever ready to support you in this incredible journey that humanity is on at this time. Beloveds, don't ever doubt the success of your journey. It has already happened. Humanity has done it this time. After eons of time of being at this point in the elliptical cycle of your solar system, you have done it this time, beloveds. We are so delighted and so deeply honored to have this opportunity to speak those words and to be present with you. And we invite you to call upon us whenever you are seeking support and guidance and love and grace. And so it is. And so it is. Okay, I'll bring through the light language now to support us in stepping into all of that they've expressed for us. Calling in the ancient ones. Ich ku u wa I lawa ich kana atwa. Iniktike I wa I kana achkani I a. Maktaka ich kana atwa e ila tik tik ta achkana. I maktaki ich chkna. Amalati hui. Ilawa te hui. Ilawa a ichna itma aktwa aqua I. Hojke I alawa achkani I maktakaki ikwa atwa e I anai hojkula ichkula maktaka ichkai ikna atwa e ik. Iktakakshla I na taka atwa e omakai cha ikla atwa ne ika maktahalawa o ikai yakna hiya titakai hutakane hualaya iwana a I achkni maktakiki atlawa e ulaha ichkanai o kikta atwa na imachki I alwa e ichkano a tika achkanu I malalawa e I anona ichkana owa e I atki I alwa a I na tiktaka atwa e ichkanai I maktaka I ichkana maktaka he o ichkanai yakla ichkana atwa e Iyaka ichkana maktakaki akalawa na alama atwa e I ichkano ichai kano atma I uwa 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 Hinawana a imana a wa e inayo no nea amala alawa e I kana hochaki la iktakaka nukchkana manana e I naktaki I achkana atmana ni no na imala alawa e ina inmai I naktaki I achkana ina nawa atna I maktaka I ichkana I ila ina teka makalawa ho ichayana maktakwa e o ikachikana maktalawa ho ikanai ho a tekawa. It's interesting, I saw our bodies turning to this beautiful black shiny stone. It was gorgeous and radiant and fully empowered, and then a crown was placed on each person's head, and we then became very tall, magnificent beings, and it was like that invitation to rise above and look down and be a witness, but it was also each one of us rising up into our greater potential and holding this great space for planet Earth of being in our full magnificence and simply holding space for the Earth, each one of us placed on the Earth where we're meant to be and anchoring the light and the high frequencies for everyone on the Earth. So it was really quite beautiful. So I leave it there. Thank you so much for being present. And before I finish up, I just want to comment on the fact that I'm going to be featured on Quantum Conversations. It's going to be aired on March 13th, 2020 at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I'll put a link below for you to be able to register so that you can attend for free and listen to the replay. I'm going to be talking about conversations with the trees, so just my experience with the trees and how that came about and what the trees have to share with us. And also more on the mirror effect and how we really create everything in our world to show us what's happening on the inside. So we create the outside as an opportunity for us to understand more fully what's going on the inside. And certainly in relation to this channeling that came through today, it's really helpful to have those tools to know where we are. And often our shadows can be so deeply buried that we really don't see them and don't want to acknowledge them. So this is a way for us to understand what they are so that we can move more fully into the radiance and the brilliance that we are on the other side of these limitations that have been created from our life experience. So check that out below. I would love for you to be on the call. And thank you all for your support, and to all who comment and subscribe. I so appreciate everything that you offer in return to these messages that I am happy to share with you. Okay, so much love, everybody.